Okay, so recording has started. Okay, so let us start. So welcome everyone for today's session. So for last 2 weeks, we have been discussing this book by Aruna Madam. This is a channeled messages from various masters. So today also very interesting messages from wonderful masters. And today we are going to start with messages from Narada. And this has been channeled on 21st March 1994, 9:15 p.m. So he started with saying that, he knew that he would be contacted. The reason being, the Aruna Madam has started thinking of all Chiranjeevi masters. So last week, when we have read the messages from Ashwatthama, who is also happened to be master of Chiranjeevi, right? So Narada is also a Chiranjeevi master. So Aruna Madam was thinking maybe, thinking about contacting all the masters who happen to be Chiranjeevi. So he knew that, he would also be contacted. So how have he become Chiranjeevi? So for him, it was a task flowing from various incarnations for him to learn various lessons of life. And he has taken so many incarnations that he even completely lost count of them. And it was the complete knowledge of each life, right? Each incarnation has taught him the knowledge. It has added knowledge, right, of being eternally alive in the same physical body. So his body does not wither. It has remained as agile and as strong as a body of 40 years old. And his task was to carry messages of knowledge from one dimension to another and learn the lessons of each passing age. So he's mentioning that in the coming age, we all will enjoy what he has been enjoying. That means we live like going forward, uh, like going from one dimension to another would be very normal. And he also saying that, he started various incarnations just the way we all started. I mean, initially he was a very normal person. He took life tasks about taking numerous incarnations like all of us without doing required tasks, or not finishing his life purpose goals. He gradually got frustrated of such lives, so slowly it began to get down on him. He was living without any real purpose. He started thinking, why is this happening? And am I the only person who is thinking this way, or anyone else too? So in that quest of search, or finding the answers, he left his house at the age of 15. He went various places, met with different masters, but he did not find one master who gave him, the complete feeling or the answers that he was looking for. So, I mean, he felt each master is leaving out something when they teached. So, but finally, like after going through 107 masters of various dimensions, the 108th master, who happened to be Narayana himself, taught entirely what everything is or whatever he is looking for. So for the first time, he was pleased about, being in the physical body. So later he took up the task, of propagating the spiritual knowledge to people. Then later on, he was given a boon by a master to remain eternally in the same physical body and carry messages of spiritual knowledge from one place to another, or from one dimension to another. So his message to every meditator is, give whatever knowledge you have to other meditators or other who are in the spiritual path. I mean, this is how he have gained the boon of becoming Chiranjeevi, and he had learned that only way to survive eternally is by sharing spiritual knowledge that one has attained. And Aruna madam had asked him some questions as well, so we will review those questions. So the first question is, how long did you meditate to attain the Chiranjeevi state? For that he is saying he basically did not meditate to become Chiranjeevi. That was not his goal. His main focus is to get access to the other worlds and gain knowledge, or how to travel from one dimension to other. He was looking into that sort of knowledge. His whole aim was traveling from dimension to another, was to attain knowledge from various existing masters. So, and in during this process, he has attained knowledge and giving us few points in terms of that knowledge he has gained. So he's saying that the first thing is, so masters, right? They're operating at various levels. Each one has a different task, like creating, maintaining, or continuing these new systems, or in the evolving of the universe, and also remaking, remodeling of already existing of various systems. And there are another set of masters who are interested in carrying out their individual ventures of their own, either in the fields of their particular self knowledge, or by helping people existing at various levels. And the next thing is telling, as there are creative selves, similarly there are masters of destructive selves as well. They are always actively wanting to hamper the creative self's activities. So there are that set of masters as well, and he has found an opportunity to work as a medium between these two opposite selves, creative and destructive. He thought it is fascinating work for him, as he have two opposite sides to work on, and after all, everyone are both are part of him, and in fact us too, right? All of us have that opposite sides. And he says that that is his achievement in various stories that were told or we have heard. People has given him a name as a Kalaha Priyudu. But he says that is not real. He was a person who has learned all about this self knowledge through resolving kalahas, not making the kalahas. So that was his answer for that question. And the next question is, when does the law of karma not attack a person? So is saying law of karma has only one principle. It is there to help us learn, understand, and imbibe that the true quality in ourselves eternally. So the moment we have learned this truth, karma will not have any effect at any stage. It is learning and nothing else on which this entire system of creation or evolving happens. It is that as simple. And the next question is, what is the system existing from the ultimate to downwards? So we can refer ultimate here as a god, universe, I mean, in whatever terms we can think of. So for that, the message is, see, our overself is the ultimate. That means our higher self is the God itself. So we are his underselves. That means we all came from him. And for our underselves, that is our lower self, we are in our physical bodies. We are like simply ourselves. So in this system, we live, exist, and revolve ourselves in various incarnations, and each of us is on various tasks at various given times. See, we also might be doing the same task as some of others as well. The sole purpose of such existence is only perfection, the perfection of ourselves, right? And in the quest of that perfection of ourselves, or searching for that ultimate or God, the overself, that means the God, sends us on various missions. So for perfection, for accuracy, and for quality, right? We can think system as like this. The first step is the hypothesis. That means we have certain theory, we have certain plan, right? And second is a laboratory where this test of this hypothesis, whatever we thought, will be performed. And then finally the conclusions from each test. So this is how the system is. It is, so intricate. So the overselves, or the God here, helps you with the knowledge on the one hand, like, we are growing, and at the same time he also learns from us on the other hand. That means when we are spiritually growing with our experiences, both ourselves and also the ultimatum, both are learning. So, I mean, this is a system. So, one level you are part of that ultimatum, right? Of that overself, and another level you are also the God, right? And you have to attain that state. I mean, it is pretty confusing, but yet that is the truth, and this is the exact words from the book as well. I read it from the pretty confusing part is also the message given by Narada masters. And the next question is, the Buddha's teachings, or Krishna's Gita, or Patanjali Sutras about the self knowledge, have they got any bearing to us? I mean, are they important to us? So for that question, he is saying everything is simple. It is just in front of us, but people do not understand that the truth is simple and straightforward. Like, simple example, you can see if you open your eyes, right, what in front of you, but even if you close your eyes, reality will exist as much as it did before you closed your eyes, and it will exist even if you open your eyes. So the only thing essential for you is to open your heart and see it. If you do not see it in this manner, everything is a myth, right? You are not just seeing from your physical eyes, you have to see from the soul level, from your heart, right? Otherwise everything is false, everything is just a myth. So it is easy for people to understand by themselves, but it is generally, it is insisted on learning in a certain way, like Buddha way, Krishna way, or Patanjali. But learn all about yourself by your means and in your ways, with your resourcefulness and your talent. So, like, Buddha, Krishna, or Patanjali, they have learned in their style, right? Since they had a zeal to help others or humanity, they told others how they have found the truth about themselves. And because they had many followers, and their teachings were transmitted from one man to other, in this process what happened, there was some things they have not mentioned also have gained immense popularity. So always, right, believe in your inner potential that you have, and that's how Patrisar had found truth about himself as well, and now we are learning different things, right, from his teachings as well. So he says, once you understand this, sky is the limit for growth, right? So, and we all also can become like Buddha, Krishna, or Patanjali. So, but just trust yourself, right? And sky is the limit for growth. And don't think, what Buddha has taught or Krishna has taught, if we learn, and that itself is enough. No, always there is a chance of learning more. Okay. And the next question is, how does the overself decide the life plan for oneself? Like, can we call it as a fate? So basically, what this question is, how does God is deciding a life plan for us, or a fate, right? We call it as a fate. So for this, he's saying when someone understand the concepts of free will and choice, then there is no question of fate. Right? Fate or the life design does exist for everyone. We all design the life with choices before we come to the earth. Right? It is our own self plan. It is more or less a broad idea on which the life design has planned. So basically, to gain wisdom on certain aspect, right? We have come to earth to enlighten or to gain wisdom on certain aspects for that life. And as we as a self, right, when we start growing in the path of spirituality, what happens is the fate still does have a bearing. But what happens is the individual self knows the purpose of fate, and in spite of that he enjoys the life leading towards the path of fate, right? But in contrast, what happens, people who are not in the path of spirituality will not only, they do not understand the faith path as well, but also curses himself for the situation he has chosen. I mean he's not realizing that he has chosen, right? So hence what happens, he gets more and more engrossed with repeating the same fate or life design. So we always attract the same situation because we have to learn from it, and we learn only when we accept it, right? We accept that this has come to us, there is something for us to learn. So Narada says he would call fate as a life design itself. That means it's a plan for us. We have planned for us in this incarnations. Okay, and that is about fate. And the next question is it necessary for everyone to enter spiritually? Will you please clarify, as we are trying to spread the message? This is the question from Arna madam. So he is saying for that, yes, meditation is the gateway or entrance to the spirituality. You should spread this message because it is essential for everyone to know the truth, right? Truth about themselves, truth about this entire creation. Everyone can feel or perceive this only through meditation. Unless you meditate, you cannot understand the truth, because when you meditate, that's when the rays of that cosmic energy vitalize our physical body and make our body ready for receiving information, right, on many simple everyday tasks of our life. So reading books is another dimension as well to understand the spirituality. And in fact, many people have attained enlightenment through reading books as well. But you have to understand what use is the spirituality without enlightenment in our everyday living, right? If we are suffering and we wanted to grow in spiritually, it doesn't make any sense, right? Once you attain enlightenment in your everyday living, then only everything becomes wonderful and feel worth living, right? So the spreading message or this spreading about the meditation is as important as doing meditation. So that is his answers, masters. And next question is, can we grow continuously spiritually or at this level by doing away with meditation? That means the question is, without doing meditation, can we advance spiritually? So for this, his answer is, there are two aspects involved here. So one is the situation in which you exist, and second is your growth. So regarding the first point, right, the situation in which you exist now. So this situation he is referring to as not just yourself or your family or your job, It's not like that. The situation in which you exist means he's talking about the entire creation, right? We are part of the creation. So the present situation, right, of this axis shift, it is having so much adverse effect on the earth. We all know that, right? And it can be reduced. That adverse effect can be reduced if more and more people are tuned towards meditation. So in this situation, especially the with energy shifting, we need to spread the message of meditation rather than think of one's own particular self growth, right? But again, right, you cannot do away or without meditation, because you need those energies from higher dimension masters, right? Otherwise, how you are going to do your spreading messages perfectly, right? We need that help from the higher level masters. And Jesus, if you think about Jesus, he did the same thing. He has spread the message of love with practicing meditation. He did not aspire for self growth, but wanted to aid his people in society. So he teached about love. And secondly, our growth depends on various aspects. So suppose if we have done the basic required the understanding of our present life design, that means if you are uh, performing your everyday tasks and growing spiritually, then that means your growth for this incarnation has achieved. That means you have no suffering, right? Your main goal is not to suffer, even in spite of various challenges. Then that means you have achieved life goal in that incarnation. But if you want to achieve more than what you have planned, then what you do is just work hard or more sadhana and meditation, reading books, and finally helping others. This is the message, masters, from Narada, from Master Narada. So we will read the messages from Janaka. This is channeled on 26th March 1994 at 11:15 p.m. So he started with saying few things about himself. So basically, he is from a family of kings. All his forefathers were kings of various territories. The most well-known fact of their family history or pedigree was that only a single male child was born in each generation. But after having found Sita, they knew that it was the end of their Vamsha Vriksha. So, this being the family history, all Janakas were taught meditation along with other, educational or, martial arts, whatever is required to as for a king. It is essential for them in those days to be a meditator and a ruler, because that gave them the equanimity of mind, because, and that's how they have maintained their equilibrium of physical and spiritual understanding in every issue they had on their hands. But unlike his forefathers, so Master Janaka, he desired and wanted much more in spirituality. He wanted to practice more meditation. Fortunately, his family gave that permission and provision to practice meditation for him. So he meditated few years, then came back to the family, and then became king and ruled the kingdom. And he has learned through meditation in this incarnation as Janaka is that never to neglect duties of physical life. You may be master of seventh body consciousness, yet when you adorn a physical body, do your duty as a person. Never neglect either your duty towards your family or your duty towards yourself. So no one can progress spirituality without fulfilling his duties towards his incarnation. And this includes everything, right? Right from your life design to your attaining to the highest peaks of meditation. So both has to be attained. And practicing meditation or advancing in spirituality, it does not demand you to leave family or society. In fact, it insists that you should stay with family and society. So the next question is, there are some questions asked to Master Janaka as well. So we will go through. So the first question is, you have found Sita while tilling the land. Is it possible to create a human body without the natural process? So for that, he's saying, yes, why not? First, he wants to tell us why he plowed one piece of land each year. It was to find Sita, who is going to come into their life, and that he knows very early on. He knows that Sita would come, and he is searching that land. Secondly, he also wanted to share the hard work of a farmer, at least once every year. He understand the work of farmers or importance of the farmers. And Sita, right, was and is a very great master. She had the natural capacity to make minute elements of the body and knew how to manage these the human or physical elements back into any form. She had that siddhi. So at the most appropriate time, she created a box and accommodated herself into it and came as an infant. And after all, she is a very higher dimension master. She can do anything and she can undo anything. Well, that was the answer, master. So, and next question is, what were the original life designs of Rama and Ravana? So he is saying Rama had come to earth to do two important duties. So one is showing everyone in general, right, as an example of a perfect child of king should be, like obedient and dutiful to his mother, father, right, brothers, wife. And besides, he also or is a master of very higher level dimension, and who had to protect the existing masters in the task of maintaining peace and tranquility on it. See, if we see the Rama's incarnation, we know that he was protecting lot of rishis or sages, munis. He was protecting their work as well, because that is the task in that incarnation. So Rama has taken an example of Ravana to show that even Rakshasas are a person or an entity of another kind, the destructive kind, they can progress spiritually. He wanted to show that even persons like Ravana can have an opportunity, and they have given him many opportunities. So every master has a soft corner for their disciples, right, despite their mistakes. And Rama has that soft corner towards the Ravana as well. And he was giving so many opportunities for him, basically, to to come to the other side, to advance spiritually. And in that process, Ravana was supposed to change, actually, in spite of those opportunities he had, or seeing the Sita's dedication towards Rama. But everyone is a master of his own free will, and so was Ravana as well, right, who brought home his end with his own doing. Right? It was his own self-destruction. Despite of many opportunities Rama and Sita has given him, he went on his own free will, but towards the destructive side. And this is messages from Janaka Master. So, and the next is messages from Yudhishthira. So we will conclude with him, masters. I know we are running out of time. So this is channeled on 29th March 1994 at 9:25 p.m. So he is more popular or relatively well known with the name Dharmaraja. Yudhishthira is known as a Dharmaraja. We all know about it. So every society and culture set up or frame certain fundamental rules and regulations to maintain the peace within the society and also for its people. While his brothers are powerful men or meditators, he chose to live well within the framework of that society's leaders has established with that rules. He being very careful not to deviate from his life's design. He constantly lived under that perpetual or this state of mind. He stayed put with that mental framework of nothing but dharma, or in other words, rules of society and culture. He always followed dharma, and his only weakness was gambling. And in that field also, he always chose to go on the same line of dharma only. Be it a defeat or be it a victory, he always chose dharma. And in brief, right, he lived only to prove that man can evolve, staying wherever he is born and brought up despite the worst hardships when you stick to your own rules and regulations, right? And his life does not speak much about spirituality. And if we see, we hear more about Arjuna and others into spirituality. But coming to Dharmaraja, he doesn't advance much in spiritual, or he did not practice spirituality, if we have to say correctly. But one has oneself, right? He continuously binding with the existing framework of society and culture. That means he was following always dharma. But later on, he started meditating after the Kurukshetra war. And the questions asked for him are let us review this question. So the question is, what were your activities during the 13 years of exile? What was the role of Krishna during that time? So he is saying for that, during the 13 years of exile, his activities were primarily involved with gathering the various astral records of Kaurava's family and finding these solid grounds to attack them. So basically, they were planning for the war. His brothers, Arjuna, Nakula, and Sahadeva, were doing this work. And at the same time, Bhima was involved in establishing himself to fight against Dushasana and Duryodhana. And Krishna and Dharmaraja were involved in finding the pros and cons of attacking in different ways. And it was not just this in this 12 years, okay? They did not just do this, because during this period, they also had to fight many, many wars. And their life purpose was not meant just for meditation or advanced spiritually, right? Although the major part was involved with meditation with Arjuna and all. And during this period, Arjuna is the one who was advanced most in spiritually, and he learned, how to travel multi-dimensional as well. And the maximum benefit that was derived out of these 12 years of exile was for Draupadi. Because she was able to get a lot of psychic powers or siddhis, we can say, during this 12 years, and learned a lot from Krishna, her main masters. Because when everyone all are planning for the war, Draupadi was the one who practiced meditation a lot, and for that she has attained many powers as well, or siddhis. And also she gained a lot of knowledge from Master Krishna as well. So we will conclude here, masters. We will continue in the next session. Let me stop the recording.